I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved. I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause.
Good morning, great morning. Welcome back to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Excited to be here with you guys. I am Mark Nudelberg, if this is your first morning joining us. And this is where you get to come get some coach talk every morning. We come together, we got a great community. And on Fridays, it's a special day because we always put a huddler in the hot seat. And today I'm super excited to have the guest Byron Dennis with us. Byron was one of the coolest friends of my dad as I grew up. Somebody that I looked up to as just style and swagger, and always was doing something cool. Always had great access for my dad, and then actually ended up partnering with him. And then Byron was the only person that I reached out to figure out how to successfully work with my dad. So there's going to be great stories about them working together, his own entrepreneurial journey coming up through the corporate world and then starting his own business. And there'll just be tons of great leadership and personal nuggets for you. But today's also a fun day because, Shea Money, we are going to Dolphin training camp. Football is in full swing. We had the Hall of Fame game last night. You had the new kickoff rule go into effect, which most people don't care about unless you're me and you were a special teams coordinator and you think special teams are the greatest part of the game. So it was great to see it. It was great to see it in action. And I'm actually excited for what's going to happen for the rest of the year with it. I think it will make the play relevant again. Shay, did you watch any of the game?
No. I was.
You don't love ball like I do, so you don't love ball.
I do.
You love
I
ball,
do.
you
I had to. I had to bring Pops the swag, and then came back and
yes, we've got new on the ball swag that I get to pick up from you today, which I'm super excited about. Can't wait to put on the white pullover. And then tomorrow morning, I'll actually be with RCC Associates at their Super Summit. We'll be doing a leadership training for them at Top Golf in Pompano. And then I'll swing the club with them for a few minutes after we speak. All good stuff. And then yesterday, we were at the studio with Lisa Lutoff-Perlow creating her masterclass for leadership. Cannot wait to officially drop her Leadership Academy for everyone. She was a tank. She went 3 hours on the camera and absolutely dominated the content. So we'll drop the wait list in there if you guys are interested in being a part of her Leadership Academy. Super wonderful content, wonderful stories, and great stuff to learn. But without any further ado, Shay, we're going to go back to back to back with music. We're going to go It's Friday music. We're going to go wake up music. We're going to go walk up music. And then we're going to have Byron on the show. Let's go.
Hold on.
No, we're not doing the affirmation. I'm skipping it. No affirmation. It's going to be plenty.
President vetoed it. All right, here we go.
Let's go. Get into the music and let's get Byron on the show.
It's Friday again. It's Friday again. It's Friday again. It's Friday again. Wake up, everybody. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Wake up. Come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe this and this are what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking. Time of thinking ahead. Come on.
Y'all better get ready to rumble. Got around like a tumble. Spicy like gumbo. Spice on the bungle. Y'all live ain't ready. Tasting the boat. Got a kind of minute confetti. Sharp as a machete. Don't plot to. stop you. It's alive, it's alive, your head spin. Stop walking that one way to that dead end. Put your yellow, cover hard. Better bring some water. Get the gasoline candle. Get this fire started. Your heart jumping like a baby jumper. You bad enough to meet the alligator in the swamp. Here I go. 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 Here I go.
B,
Yes,
welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you and all your huddlers.
Good morning to you as well. 2 weeks in a row, we've now had 90s hip hop music. Last week, we had Callie Williams on the show, and she had California Love from Tupac as her walk-up song. Fantastic. And then you come out with Soak the Shocker, and I don't know if it gets any better than that. Let's go.
Well, so when Shay said, Byron, we need your music, I knew exactly where I was going, because not only does it sound cool as hell, if the beat gets you vibing, and then we said, yeah, let's go. Come on.
I got to tell you, like, we've had in my career as a college football coach, we had lots of discussions about what the tunnel song should be. Because if you don't coach at a school like Florida State or the University of Florida, where they have a traditional entrance to the stadium, kind of changes every year, and the team gets to choose the song that you come out to. Not once was Soak the Shocker ever even brought up, and I can't believe we missed that opportunity, because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, if we would have walked out of the tunnel to this,
oh my God,
you're just gonna feel like, oh, it's on. It's on right now.
Not only the players, but the fans too.
Right, everybody.
Yeah. All right.
So, all right, so we're ready. We're ready.
Yep.
You're here. I gave everybody a little bit of a backdrop, but give everybody a little bit about your story, where you come from. You went to Clark. Give everybody just a little bit of the history of Byron Dennis.
Well, I'm a native Floridian, which, you really don't hear a lot of people saying that live in Florida, North Florida. But, had some great parents up in Jacksonville. My dad was an entrepreneur. My dad owned the dry cleaners. When we had the services for my dad, a bunch of years ago, one of my neighbors said that my dad was the first business owned by a Black man that he knew.
Wow.
So my dad made this other, Black kid realize that you can own your own business.
Wow.
So that's really cool. But they were just unbelievable parents, kind of completely different. My mother, was educated, PhD and all of that. Dad just worked his way up, created his own business. But I think that both of them taught some unbelievable lessons that I still utilize to this day. As you said, went to Clark College, football academic scholarship, unbelievable, going to school in Atlanta, part of the Atlanta University Center with Morehouse and Spelman across the street, Morris Brown around the corner. From a college experience in terms of the history within the African-American education community, and just straight out balling, having fun. I wouldn't change that for the world. There to get a degree, got a degree in physics, did, grad school at Howard in engineering, and then started working for General Motors in Warren, Ohio, in what they like to call the, armpit of America almost. But
hold on. So you went from Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then where is
DC,
Howard located?
Atlanta, DC. Yeah,
DC,
went to DC.
Right. So you went Atlanta to, so hold on, you went Jacksonville, Duval County, stand up,
Yep.
right? To Atlanta,
Yeah.
to Howard in DC, and then you went to the middle of Ohio.
Yeah. And
What about
you want to
culture
talk about it was unbelievable. And so that's snow belt country too. Sometimes they don't even forecast 10 inches. And guess what? Make sure you go to work that day too. None of this snow day BS. You still have to go to work. So I had to end up buying this huge 4-wheel drive Blazer just to make sure that no matter what, I could still get to work. But what was cool about it, and again, life lessons. So I had a number of different jobs with them in engineering, and eventually took over what's called a maintenance crew. So when an engineer develops a plan to, say, install some equipment in the plant, it's obviously unionized. The actual union guys, skilled trades guys, are the ones that actually do the implementation of those plans. I eventually ran one of those teams. So this is, late 80s, early 90s. I'm 20 young, years old. The average guy that worked for me had worked for GM longer than I had been alive.
Talk about a communication gap, and talk about a young guy's going to tell me what to do. I don't know about that.
Exactly. And they knew that contract like none other. But the first day on that particular job, I had this guy that worked for me. He was a millwright. And so what millwrights do is they work with the metals, so welding and all of that kind of stuff. And he told me he wasn't going to do his job that day. He was just going to sit there and get paid. And this guy, 6'6", a pretty nice 260, voice that, and there were like 20 plants there, huge plants. If he spoke, you could hear his voice in 2 or 3 plants down the hall.
Right.
He's like, Byron, I'm not doing blah, blah, blah. I said, fine, don't do it. Make sure what you do is clock your behind out and go home.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he was doing was not only teaching me a lesson, but he was teaching his fellow employees, because I didn't yell and scream.
Yep.
I followed the contract.
Yeah.
And had I not sent him home, he and the other people will have realized they could have run over me. I didn't overuse my power, but I did. It was a life lesson. So I learned a lot from that. From there, my mentor said, hey, Byron, you're a great engineer, but what most engineers have problems with is communication. They can solve great problems, but can they explain how they do it? So on and so forth. So I went back, got an MBA at Atlanta University, and I went into consumer products. So think Sara Lee, brand management, did the traditional associate assistant brand manager, blah, 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 blah. And the president of Jimmy Dean, which is a division of Sara Lee, former Procter & Gamble guy, wanted all of his marketers to have sales experience so that they can experience what goes on, say, selling to a grocery store and so on. I did a sales rotation, was supposed to be 9 months. Absolutely loved it.
Wow.
And decided not to go back to headquarters, just kept getting promoted in sales. And so did that. And again, now I'm moving. Now I'm in Memphis. Now I'm in Birmingham. Now they're moving me to Atlanta, and old Coca-Cola came a calling. And I decided to go work for, one of the world's most recognized brands.
Let me pause you for a minute here, because I want to draw a parallel here. You went from a leadership position, which is very much like sales. Yeah. You had to figure out how to sell the concept and the ideas and the implementations to people. So you had communication skills, and let's be serious. You're Byron Dennis. You were able to communicate from the time that you were able to speak. So you've always had that smoothness about you, but going into sales from being an internal facing employee, very, very different, and a very different, very different process and very different results, and everything is different. Mm-hmm. So how did your engineering background, how did your systematic process development background help you on the sales side?
Man, did it really. So what the technical solutions do, it allows you to think a certain way. You identify the problem, you identify potential solutions. That doesn't mean every solution works. None of them are going to work if you don't try them. And so the question is, okay, I identify a problem, a strategy that I'm trying to get accomplished, and then I will choose a solution based on potential outcomes, potential resources that I have available, the likelihood that I could pull that off. So you're thinking about that. So, it's not just drawing straws. It's a systematic approach to it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I think the biggest thing or lesson, regardless of the engineering or what have you, going into sales, one of my trainers was trying to get me to understand that when I went into sales at Sara Lee, is deliver on what you promise. That's the biggest thing. Do what you say you're going to do. Never promise something and don't do it. And the other thing is, let's say I'm selling to Kroger, Publix, or whoever, and I've got this great promotion. This product's going to, sell, 15 truckloads at this particular price. Let's say it doesn't sell 15 truckloads. It only sells 11. So grocery store may not have made the margin that they were expected. Don't wait until that buyer calls you into the office to say, hey, this didn't do whatever. You set the appointment. You said, hey, this is the program that we said that we were going to do. This is what we said we were going to sell. This is only the amount that was sold. This is how I suggest that we redo it in a different fashion with the change.
Accountability to the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell my employees that all the time.
Amazing.
It doesn't mean that you're wrong. Face up, say, hey, this is what I wanted to do, but be accountable, but also come with another solution.
I love that.
Yeah. So that walks me through the sales piece. And from there, I work for, like I said, Coca-Cola, and then Coors Beer, running all of their convenience business around
which I believe is where Steve Nudelberg enters your life.
Yeah, I think that was around 99, 2000, somewhere around there.
I will tell you, I think the first time I met you, I could be wrong on this, but I believe the first time I met you was prior to a Miami Heat game. We had gone down to Miami, and we were at Live nightclub because you were there as the beverage guy for the nightclub, and the lights were on. Nobody was there. Obviously, it was early hours, but we met there to have a drink before going to the game together. I think that was the first time I ever met you.
I would say probably not. If you said you were having a drink, because I met
no, I wasn't having a drink. You guys were having a drink. I was just there.
Okay,
which is the history of the majority of my childhood.
Okay,
I was just there.
Right. I mean? that may have been. I don't recall.
Yeah,
so the good thing about getting a little bit older is not that I can't tell a lie, because I can't freaking remember.
Could be. I don't know.
So that's probably the case. So working for Coors, again, a lot different than working for Coca-Cola when you start talking about adult beverages. There's a little bit more accountability.
Yeah,
it's a social sin brand, as they call it. So there's a lot of fun associated with it, but there's also a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things about working for Coors, and they tell you this the first day, DUIs are intolerable. We will allow you to take a cab home, no questions asked. Doesn't matter how far the trip is.
Yeah.
Do not get a DUI.
Yeah.
So that's they understood that, hey, this is the arena that we're in, but at the same time, as we said earlier, you got to be responsible and accountable.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Working for Coors was the coolest thing in the world. My first day, literally, my first day on the job is Friday before the Daytona 500. And it's a manager's meeting. And I'm just sitting there. They introduced me. I'm sitting there. All the sales guys and managers are going through their departments, giving their recaps. And they end the meeting early. Let's call it 1:30, 2 o'clock. And as they're ending the meeting, on cue, the hotel employees open the door and they're just rolling in just coolers of beer. Variety. They own a bunch of different brands.
Yeah.
And so it's 3 o'clock. We're sitting around just having a beer, chatting. And at about 7 or 8, I'm like, man, I'm about ready to tap out here. We've been drinking nonstop for about 6 hours. And my boss leans over to me. He was like, big fella, you're not selling desserts anymore. This ain't Sarah. You got to build up your tolerance. I was supposed to do a Coors calendar modeling contest where I can sit and judge the models with Pete Coors.
Oh my God.
But they were like, it's 8, it's 9, it's 10. Nobody's come out. I was like, dude, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, I'm done here.
Go in. I go in, white flag. Next morning, I'm up for coffee. I'm a morning guy. Pete Coors is coming back from a 5-mile run at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
right. He was leaned on it, right? So from there,
a different animal.
Yeah. So from there, promoted a few times. And then my last gig working for someone was the VP of sales for Jim Beam Brands, another adult beverage. Obviously bourbons are crazy now. But all of those other jobs gave me the experience of how to write that, go-to-market strategy, what the structure should look like, where people should be, base, compensation, blah, blah, blah. And from there, I went into consulting. And, some of the stuff that I did with, your dad over the years came from a lot of the other things and the people that we met in our journees that allowed us to do some
we
of this
have
stuff.
to talk about it. We have
Yeah.
to. We're we're definitely going to go to overtime. This is going
Yeah.
over 820, 1,000%.
Yeah.
But so you and my dad partnered on Pure Suasion when On the Ball was a marketing agency,
Yeah.
and through connections to people that had a decent sized following. And you guys, tell us about the idea. Tell us about how it happened.
So we took a meeting with what I want to call some chemists and producers of other consumer products in beauty and things of that nature. And they had discovered this great serum, but didn't have a home for it, didn't know how to market it. And so, light bulbs going off with Steve and I in terms of what we thought we can do with it. At the time, Celia had not Celia, I forgot the eyelash. There was the one that was a prescription drug had just come out and it was doing great.
Celia.
Obviously,
It was Celia.
Yeah, was that Celia? Okay.
Yeah.
So with women in their eyelashes and eyebrows, that's one of the things that they focus on. But that product had known side effects.
Right.
And, from all of the tests that had been done, independent tests as well, this product didn't, and it wasn't prescription.
Yeah.
And so your dad and I are like, ding, 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 ding. Hey, doesn't matter. We hadn't sold cosmetics before. We knew people who had, and so on and so forth. And so we ventured to start that. We started attending all of these beauty, conferences and conventions. Ironically, though, again, through networking, our biggest channel became the duty-free channel.
Yeah.
On duty-free shops, on planes, on cruise ships. And the coolest thing, and what the buyers at the duty-free would say, hey, you got a bottle of a product that's no more than 3.5 inches long by 1/2 inch. It's selling for $80, almost the same price as some of the liquor bottles. So I can make more money in the same space.
Right.
And that's what people, again, you go back to the technical thing, you start looking at what's the selling store? How's the margin? So it's a real estate play, just like a grocery store. That's a real estate play. How much money can they make in that square, foot or whatever? And when you start talking about duty free on that cart coming down the aisle, there's limitations. And how much money can the airline make? The more money they can make with that 1 or 2 trips up and down. So it fell right into it. So, persuasion was really cool. We got a lot of accolades in the industry, a lot of publications. A lot of the airlines and the duty-free shops said how great we were doing. What we didn't know was that whole cycle about how when you get on those international flights, you see those magazines that have the items for sale. Well, there's a fee on those magazines, like, the average traveler has no idea what those manufacturers are paying. And when that payment is due, it got to the point that our payments were due before they paid us on the product that was sold.
Right.
Like, so wait a minute, we're paying you for us to pay you.
Right.
It got crazy. So we shut that down. But again, if an entrepreneur thinks that they're going to go into business the first few times and hit a home run, it's a learning process, man.
Yeah.
It is nothing but a learning process. But that's the key. You got to learn. You can't go in and say, I failed. What could you have done differently? How could you have packaged it differently? Your messages differently, go to market, all of those things. It's an opportunity for you to do some self-evaluation and try to figure out how to do it better.
And so I think it's a unique position for you because you had spent your entire career in a corporate environment, not entrepreneurial. And that was, it was a failure. It was successful, but it didn't last. It didn't go on. How did you deal with that mentally? How did you deal with that as being an entrepreneur and being like, oh, well, this is different than if something didn't sell at Sara Lee or at Coors?
Well, you're right. It was disappointing because we had a lot of money tied up into it ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. That's entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Your livelihood is on the line.
But the cool thing is about the persuasion piece and say all of the corporate, in my mind, the corporate stuff, if done properly, teaches you how to write a business plan. That doesn't mean you follow that business plan A to Z, but at least it helps you put a plan together. And especially from a brand management standpoint, that's one of the jobs that brand managers do every year, writing a brand plan for that particular products that they're representing. And what Persuasion did versus what I did in the corporate sector, it was like, look, at the end of the day, this isn't just my sales territory. There are other people that depend on the revenue from this product internally and externally. So it opens your mind, makes it bigger. Again, from an accountability standpoint, I try to push accountability down as far as I can within the organization. I never would, but if I ever went back to work in the corporate sector, I would like to I would make it a mission of mine to make sure that I've got as many entrepreneurs that are on my staff.
Well, so it's interesting. I think the mindset you're talking about is intrapreneur, right? Because this is something we talk about in the organizations we work with, is trying to develop intrapreneurs. You were an intrapreneur for all of those brands that you worked with because you took responsibility for the business. You took responsibility for the people you were responsible for. You took responsibility for the goals. You may have gotten taught that, but that concept is something that you implemented that then made you a successful entrepreneur because you had already developed that skill set and that mindset before being out on your own. I think you want a lot of intrapreneurs, not necessarily entrepreneurs, because ultimately entrepreneurs want to do it for themselves.
Yeah, they do. But, I have to say that some of them realize that, either they don't have the capital or the stomach for it.
Right. Which makes you an intrapreneur, not an entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, trying to create that type of a mentality internally is a challenge.
Yeah.
You want your employees to come with solutions. Don't come to me with a problem.
Right.
Come to me with a solution.
Right.
It's a lot easier. And I was taught this early in terms of how do you manage up. If you want me to fund something, you come to me with a summary. You make it very simple for me to make the decision. Don't come to me with a freaking spreadsheet with all of these freaking numbers and then you want to tell me the story. Give me the executive summary.
Yep. What's
your timing in terms of what are the hurdles for this particular project and the thresholds at that point? And then what's the outcome?
Yes.
How much do you want me to spend? And when am I going to start seeing some progress against the plan? That doesn't mean that everything you do works.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure you thought it out. You got a plan. You aren't just going willy-nilly with it.
Right. You're not just going, let's try this, right?
Yeah. I never. It's really, this is one of the things I was taught at Coors. It's how do you manage up to get those decision makers to make those decisions in the quickest, fastest manner, but in an informed way, because guess what? You're coming to them and another 30 or 40 other people in different departments. They don't have the time and the resources to sit and do all of this with you. Come with the damn problem, solution, outcomes.
Okay, so we have to stop because we're coming up on time. I think this is the first time this is ever going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm demanding that you come back for part 2.
Okay.
Because you've told such a wonderful story here and you laid such a great groundwork. I want to continue the conversation in how that's manifested in what you do now. And how that's manifested in the organization that you run, in the things you've developed, and what you're doing in the healthcare space. I want to continue that. Like, I'm so glad you're here, Melissa Graves, and I'm so glad you're hearing this. Melissa is somebody that we worked with inside of a company called Sistel in Fayetteville. She is an entrepreneur. She has gone from a director to a VP of operations in a matter of 3 months. She's a high growth, but all of the things you're saying are things that we've worked on with her that are spot on. So unbelievable conversation. B, thank you so much for being here. And my ask is that you promise me you will do this within the next 4 weeks again.
I promise I'll do it with you in the next 4 weeks. I know my schedule that far out.
Yeah.
So just have the director of Make It Happen reach out to me.
We will have the director of Making It Happen.
I'm on it.
There it is. So that's the promise to everybody in the huddle, is that there will be a part 2 in the continuation of this story. Byron, you are the best. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for being a guest. I can't wait till your next episode. And everybody else, remember the grind includes Saturday and Sunday. 1 extra hour of working towards whatever you're working towards on Saturday and Sunday gives you 1 extra % at the end of the year. And that's really what it's all about. 1% better. Byron, looking forward to seeing you soon.
Housekeeping reminder, we will not be here Monday.
We will not be live on Monday. It will be a rerun on Monday because we've got people traveling, and I'll be speaking to the Construction Executives Association on Monday morning. So we will not be here live, but we'll be back on Tuesday. B, thank you again.
My pleasure, man. Hey, you guys have a great weekend. Looking forward to doing part 2.
Everybody have a great weekend. We will see you guys on Tuesday. Let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. Friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business.